Hello, happy Friday. Pretty sure it is. I wouldn't really know. I didn't do a whole lot today. I woke up kind of dizzy and kind of feeling weird. Kind of went away after a while. I think it was just kind of dehydration and not sleeping good. But yeah, I don't know. Today just kind of didn't happen. So I don't got much to talk about. Work was barely there. So, in lieu of anything funny or insightful to say at the start, let's just, keep doing Silent Hill. We are in the playthrough. We are right at the end of Silent Hill 1. We're just about to enter Nowhere. Alessa's spiritual or control over the spiritual power of the town is beginning to completely collapse now that it has made contact with the Flauros, the Cage of Peace, the Millennium Puzzle, the Triangle from another place. And a lot of the setting and background information in the first game was very, very cryptic. It was there in the background and expanded upon in future games, but really Silent Hill is kind of a tricky game to really wrap your head around the inner workings of it, for good reason. Like not meant to be a criticism, but there are two sources, and there are more than this, but two that we're going to go into over this playthrough, one of which we've already have, but two supplemental materials that we're going to use to try to shed some light on what's going on behind the scenes, and even sometimes just in front of the camera itself in this game. Especially as we get here towards the end. It's gonna get, the game's already been kind of hard to, even parse what's going on, what's happening in what order, what agency does Harry Mason actually have, with, him seeming to, run around the town, and then the town enters this other space where the sun disappears, and then he passes out and then is in the hospital, but then he wakes up and he's back where he was, and then he runs to the hospital again, but Lisa remembers him having been there when he was in the dream, and Harry himself can't even figure out what these transitions from this foggy, threatening world to this other world, this other world where everything is just out to fucking annihilate you. Has trouble even parsing what that even is, what's even going on around him. So, we've looked at the Book of Lost Memories a few times. We will do that again tomorrow, once we finish this game. But for now, what I want to go over is a question and answer section from the Silent Hill official guidebook, which I did order a copy of, but it's not here, so I can't show it on camera. Oh well. But without any further ado, let's dive in. Irish, what's going on, Irish? Happy weekend. I don't know. It's the weekend most places now, I think. I don't know. Oh, that's nice. So I obliterated my sideburns today with a clipper, but when I'm wearing this, you kind of can't tell. So I was kind of resistant to using these on stream. And there's the first tangible benefit. You can't tell how amateurish I was with the clippers I used this morning. Anyway, so as we have been with the Book of Lost Memories, we'll be relying on the translations of the legendary Wall of Death, as hosted on SilentHillMemories.net. Here is the link to the page that I am on right now. So in this book, the Silent Hill official guidebook, which is coming. It'll be on that shelf behind me eventually. Just not here yet. Shit takes like a month and a half to get over here from Japan these days. But in that book, there is a question and answer section. So let's go ahead and go through it. We're not going to go over more of the Book of Lost Memories because I want to actually see the ending before we do that. So we'll do that tomorrow. But I think that this interview can kind of help inform some of the stuff that we're going to end up seeing tonight more than just kind of be weirdly out of context. So here, looks like this is cut off a little bit. Okay, so let's dig in, starting from the top. Even after playing it through so many times, a few baffling mysteries remain in the game. The truth about what took place in Silent Hill behind what Harry does there is close at hand. So the first question, how about an outline of the town of Silent Hill? So the answer, Silent Hill, the setting for the story, is a rural town located somewhere in Northeast America. Later found out it's in Maine. Its chief industries are tourism and, to a lesser extent, agriculture. It is a small town with a population below 30,000, and its key industry, tourism, is in a state of steady decline. Some of the town's conservative residents oppose modernization and the transformation of the town into a tourist attraction, and although Silent Hill appears at a glance to be an innocuous rural town, this has brought about an unexpected darkness of drug distribution here. It is rumored that a religious cult of considerable scale exists behind the scenes. It also seems to be a place where young people are spirited away. Workers from the town's development group die mysteriously, and sinister traditions continue to be handed down from long ago. So this is something that really, like the actual workings, the practical workings of the cult, really don't get examined until Silent Hill 4. And that's the only time really that Team Silent really touched on it. Everything else that we see is like very high-end, literally dealing with the birth and rebirth of God. But even from the very beginning, they the supplemental materials and lip service in the games, although not actually anything that we see in the games, do paint a picture of a cult that is pretty big in scale and pretty deeply rooted in the town's kind of day-to-day operation, but we just don't get to see a whole lot of that. Homecoming is honestly probably the best representation that we get of that, with the story that game tells, even though it's got its problems. But anyway, question 2, what happened to most of the people who lived in Silent Hill? And this is something that I've kind of struggled to kind of settle on where I go with this. It has to do with why are Harry, Sybil, Kaufman, and Dahlia the ones who are in the town in the game? Why are they in Alessa's nightmare? But we'll get to that later. The question, or the answer to this question, the short version is, yeah, I don't know. Whatever you think is scary, fuck you. But the longer version is, from the moment Harry wakes up, the town is already deserted. What specifically happened is not made clear until the end. The only thing that is certain is that this is not an ordinary situation. While it is only natural to wonder about the welfare of the people who originally lived in Silent Hill, one should be able to come up with a few explanations after completing the game. Either everyone died, or what happens in the nightmare world has no effect on reality, or it was all Harry's dream, etc. Of these, the most likely explanation is that the events took place in the world of Alessa's nightmares. So again, like kind of playing the same trick that they would often use when they would talk about 2 story, where they would say like, kind of the preferred or maybe the intended meaning is they were in the world of Alessa's nightmare, but even the stuff we see in the game kind of contradicts that a little bit in spots, and it's not a definitive answer. Silent Hill is a town where nightmares become reality, so I want those who have played the game to take the truth to be whatever each of them feels is the most frightening. Question 3, why is contact between the town and the outside world completely cut off? And the answer, short answer, unknown. A line between dream and reality is indistinct. And the longer answer, the roads leading outside of town have all collapsed, as if there has been a severe earthquake. If one does not understand what happened in this town, neither will one be able to grasp the answer to this question. One thing is that is certain is the fact that in Silent Hill, the border between reality and unreality is indistinct. It may be that the town itself has moved somewhere that is like another dimension, or it may be that this is all happening inside of someone's dream. Could it be that the real world awaits beyond the collapsed roads? Where do the monsters come from? As we've talked about at length, they were born from Alessa's obsessions and compulsions. Mysterious monsters roam the deserted town. The same creatures that appear in Alessa's nightmares are the same creatures that appear in Alessa's nightmares. Related to phenomena in her memories, they are materialized by stress, pressure, an anxious state of mind, and the like. For example, the pterosaur-type monsters found throughout the town were brought forth by an illustration in one of Alessa's favorite books, The Lost World. The green caterpillar and moth monsters came from the insect specimens that decorate her room. Her sense of trivial things that looked strange to her as a child became reality, along with the objects of her fears. So question 4, why does the town suddenly become dark? This is the main reason why I wanted to go over this interview, because I wasn't sure where the explanation for the other world being like analogous to REM sleep came from. I think it's from this interview. Or from this Q&A session. Anyway, so after you open the key to Eclipse, or after you use the 3 keys to Eclipse, and sneak through the doghouse, the sun goes out and everything becomes dark. That's and you kind of enter the other world, the other side. That's what this is referring to. And the answer, even in the nightmare world, there is a cycle. It becomes night, on a number of occasions as Harry moves about the town. In the same way, there are also many times when aspects of the town and its buildings change completely. For the sake of convenience, this will be referred to as the right side and the reverse side in this book. These changes occur because there is a cycle in the world of Alessa's nightmares which envelops the town. In the same way that a person normally repeats REM sleep and non-REM sleep in regular cycles while he or she is sleeping. When the nightmare world approaches a deeper darkness, or sleep, a phenomenon occurs in which light is almost completely taken away, and the world shifts into an even deeper nightmare as the cycle shifts again. As for the right side and the reverse side, in short, it isn't that one is reality and one is a dream. The fact is that neither is reality. Incidentally, the reason the reverse side takes on such an ominous aspect is that with her burned body, Alessa's endless nightmares were twisted and amplified by the thoughts of the malevolent god. Her hatred and terror became nourishment on which the malevolent deity thrived. And then this will end up getting kind of adapted, like everything about the setting of Silent Hill 1 gets adapted into Silent Hill 2, and used again in Silent Hill 3 in different contexts, and onward and onward until everything starts to kind of suck there for a while. Question 5, I think. I already lost count. What were Dahlia's intentions? To realize the long-cherished wish of the religious cult to which she belongs. Dahlia appears in and after the middle stage of the game and suggests to Harry his course of action. In the game's final stage, we discover that she was the one who masterminded the whole affair, and that she was the one what she was doing, was supported by a profoundly grand motive. Although it isn't mentioned in the game, Dahlia assumes the role of a spiritualistic medium in a certain cult that has been established in Silent Hill's underworld. The unique doctrine of this cult is rooted in legends about the god of the land, and is separate from any religious doctrine that exists in reality. Simply put, bringing about the advent of the malevolent god and unleashing limitless destruction. This is the long-cherished wish of the religious organization to which Dahlia belongs, because, quote, all sins will be washed away, everyone will be freed from suffering, and they will take back the true paradise. The technique to impregnate the womb of a human mother with the malevolent god has been carried out many times in order to achieve that end, but it has always failed. Among the mysterious disappearances that took place in town, there are cases in which young girls were abducted by the cult as prospective surrogate mothers, although most of them were simply young people who grew tired of the countryside and left for the city. Okay. So question number 6. What was the cause of the fire that broke out 7 years ago? So there was and still is really a lot of discussion about the fire that broke out 7 years ago in the Gillespie house, and we'll see a few documents about that in the game. One of the notes can just not appear, and I also might have missed one of them. But there are notes in the game that indicate that a house burned down, and like a faulty boiler was at fault, and that a girl died in the fire, which is meant to be an allusion to the ritual that was done on Alessa. And I wonder if this book had been published in English, if that might have stemmed the tide of some of that, because really all the supplemental material's been pretty clear about, like there was a debate on, was Alessa burned on purpose as part of the ritual, or did the ritual fail and Alessa caused a fire with her psychic power, and that fire led to her being burned. The supplemental materials, in at least in the Japanese ones, have been pretty clear from the start, and like thematically it makes sense for the burning of Alessa to actually be part of the ritual. But anyway, let's get into the actual answer. Answer: a ritual that Dahlia performed using Alessa. Dahlia originally thought that Alessa would follow in her footsteps as a spiritualistic medium for the cult, but realized that the ritual would be far more likely to succeed if she had used her as the surrogate mother to bring about the descent of the cult's god. So 7 years ago, Dahlia performed the technique to bring about the descent of the cult's god using Alessa in the cellar of her own house. Origins. Although it seems the cult has a place they use for rituals, which Origins did get right, Dahlia was confident that she would be able to summon the malevolent deity if Alessa was the surrogate mother. Therefore, as it was not necessary to choose a location, she impulsively carried out the ritual in her own basement, or the second floor of her house, I guess, whatever. The ritual process involved a great deal of fire, which consequently escalated into a conflagration. Incidentally, there is information in the game about, quote, 6 houses that burned down in the business district. There's a note at the end about that. That doesn't show up in the English version of the game, which is where things get a little confusing. On our side, anyway. But the actual site of the fire can't be located on the business district map. It seems the houses were completely torn down during those 7 years. So, question, whatever it is, I don't remember, 9. Did Alessa die in the fire 7 years ago? Answer, she survived. In the game, it is reported that Alessa's charred body was found. Although the records show that she had died, she was secretly taken to Alchemilla Hospital and nursed for 7 years in the hospital basement. Kaufman prepared a substitute body. It's possible that he was also the one who performed the autopsy. The method Dahlia used to bring about the descent of the cult's god had nearly succeeded with Alessa as a surrogate mother, but Alessa quickly let part of her soul escape and the technique was not completely successful. In short, even with the embryonic malevolent god within her, the ritual was in a suspended state. Alessa had suffered burns covering her entire body that were far beyond a fatal level, but she continued to live. That is, she was kept alive, because the malevolent deity protects its mother's body. Additionally, Dahlia continuously inflicted pain upon Alessa in that state for 7 years by means of an incantation that compelled the missing part of her soul to respond to her. So this will happen tonight in the part of the game that we're going to see. I wanted to go over this now because it can be tricky to tell in the moment what's happening. Everything in Nowhere happens very fast. Where did I leave off? That part of her soul, the part that was that was sent away by Alessa, is Cheryl. If the soul could be unified, the ritual would be complete and the malevolent deity would awaken, so Dahlia caused Alessa to suffer, compelling her to seek help from Cheryl. Incidentally, corpses, that appear to be wrapped in robes that cover them from head to toe are seen in places that lead to the other world. These figures are wearing the cult's ceremonial robe. Perhaps they were manifested by Alessa's resentment of the cult. And then later on, this would be purposed by Masahiro Ito as a tie-in to Valtiel, the valet of God that we will see in Silent Hill 3, but that's for then. Question number 14. Did Cheryl know that she was Alessa's other self? Answer, she was completely unaware of it. Although Cheryl was Alessa's other self, she was not conscious of it. When she told Harry she wanted to go to Silent Hill, it was because the sensation of Alessa's suffering, Someone Help Me had reached out to her. For 7 years, Alessa endured her suffering because she had not wanted to destroy whatever small happiness her other self was able to enjoy, but little by little, Dahlia's incantation succeeded, and it became more than Alessa could bear. And so, based on her perception that, quote, it's someone like myself calling me, Cheryl came to Silent Hill with Harry. So, the thing there where Alessa wanted Cheryl to try to find happiness in spite of her own suffering is another thing that comes back in Silent Hill 3, and one of my favorite scenes in that game, where Heather, who we will see at the very, very end of our playthrough tonight, being the reincarnation of Alessa and Cheryl and all of that, still kind of harbors that. As Heather goes down the route of revenge, the aspect of her that is still Alessa has this idea of just go live a happy life. Fuck this. This is all stupid. Don't like it's horrible and it sucks and they should be punished, but it's not your deal. It's not your deal. Go live. It's you end up not really seeing a lot of Alessa as a person in the actual games, but they did a really good job, even though it probably wasn't planned out from the beginning, of keeping what we do know about her consistent, at least through the first 4 games, in a really cool way. Okay. Question 27. When did Cheryl and Alessa unite? Answer: in the early stages of the story. Although the exact moment isn't specified, there's no mistaking that it was during the story's early stages. Cheryl's disappearance into the alleyway during the opening came about because Alessa's nightmare had encroached into Harry's dream. The development is not specifically related to Cheryl's fusion with Alessa. Additionally, the game features both a grown-up form of Alessa as well as a child form. One of these is her appearance at her actual age, while the other is a phantom from 7 years ago. By merging with Cheryl, Alessa, at her actual age, was reborn from her severe burns, broke the spell that Dahlia and the cult's priest had used to bind her, and took action. After uniting, Alessa had acquired psychic powers such as teleportation, powers that she had always possessed. If she had been living under normal circumstances, these powers would almost never manifest themselves. Alessa naturally possessed a certain amount of spiritual intuition, and at that point in time, her sixth sense was powerful enough that she was having premonitions, but these were more like hunches than supernatural powers. Her mother Dahlia may have performed magic and the like, but that doesn't mean that she had special powers. Could it be that having the malevolent deity dwelling within her body and uniting with Cheryl were what led to Alessa to acquire supernatural powers? So this will be revisited when we play Origins. That Origins plays very fast and loose with what Alessa could do and win, but to be fair to Origins, there were a few lines in Silent Hill 3 that kind of make the line, like this says, Alessa always had like special power. It's just she might not have always been able to tap into it, and Silent Hill 3 makes it clear that like Heather straight up says, I could have killed people with my brain if I wanted to, even before like the ritual happened. So Origins does a lot of things with Alessa that don't strictly line up with what we know from Silent Hill 1, but we'll get there. King K, what's going on, buddy? Happy Friday, I think. I just started. I don't know why I already lost track of time. So what is the Mark of Samael? So something that we've seen Dahlia mention, the symbol with the triangles and then the 2 concentric circles around it, that Alessa's been drawing around the town. Dahlia has been calling it the Mark of Samael. In actuality, it's the seal of Metatron, which is the next question, and we'll talk about that in a second. Anyway, the truth to the Mark of Samael is that there is no profound significance. Dahlia uses the phrase, the Mark of Samael, when speaking to Harry. This is a sophism to make Harry worry that terrible things are happening and that must be stopped at any cost. It's nonsense that falls under the category of wordplay. Dahlia thought she could use Harry to catch Alessa, so she used incomprehensible terms with feigned sincerity, which we've seen her do the entire game. In a way that like it's interesting how she's only telling like half-truths. It's every time I listen to Dahlia's lines, the more it's like I hate that she's not exactly really lying to the man. But anyway, what is the seal of Metatron, asks question 34. The answer is that it is like a spell of annihilation. What Alessa was actually creating was the Seal of Metatron. Its name is derived from the name of an angel Its name is derived from the name of an angel of release in the Kabbalistic system. Bound by the cult's spell and living in an endless nightmare and agony, Alessa's wish was for a complete death. Since she was unable to die in a normal fashion while under the influence of the power of the malevolent deity, Alessa intended to annihilate herself by the power of the Seal of Metatron with the nightmare world at hand. I think the music stopped. Boop. At the moment Cheryl and Alessa united, she gained the power to escape from the cult's spell. At the same time, the technique that brought about the descent of the cult's god succeeded, and the malevolent deity resumed its maturation process. This time, Alessa was engaged in a struggle, a race between the malevolent god's maturation and the seal's completion. If the seal were to be completed, Harry, Sybil, Dahlia, and the others would all be annihilated along with Alessa. However, it is questionable whether the Seal of Metatron actually has this sort of power, and there is also the possibility that Alessa, using the knowledge she acquired when she was very young, freed herself from the effects of the malevolent god's power through autosuggestion, and was attempting to realize her own death. Because Dahlia was at least aware of the fact that Alessa had the will to end her own life, she prepared for the worst-case scenario and took steps to prevent this from happening. She used Harry for that very purpose. So this kind of ties into the revelation at the end of Silent Hill 3, that the Seal of Metatron is basically just a useless bauble that, at the very least in Vincent's hands, does nothing. Like the idea of autosuggestion, the idea that Alessa, because Alessa has these powers, the things that she is thinking, the things that she suggests to herself are real, become real. Like it could just be that she thinks this thing is going to annihilate everybody and maybe only annihilate herself, and therefore it will if she finishes it. The actual nature of it is still, even after 3, still kind of nebulous. But anyway, Alessa was creating the Seal of Metatron at the school, hospital, antique shop, lighthouse, and amusement park. Draw lines connecting these seals and their placement creates an enormous mark of Samael throughout the town. The seal may have been created in other places as well. I mean, we do see some of them marked on random buildings throughout the other world as we're running around it towards the end of the game, like we saw last night or on Wednesday. Question 42: who constructed the other church, and for what purpose? This is the church in the antique shop. Answer: Dahlia constructed it based on the cult's doctrine. The other church is a reproduction of the one that was originally in Dahlia's home, where she used it for daily worship. In short, Harry was drawn to it because the antique shop is a place that was originally close to the reverse side, or the other world. The reason it appears in the final stage of the game is that Alessa retained the memory of having been made to worship at the altar in her house as a young girl. So we do see Alessa's ghost, the phantom of Alessa walking toward the antique shop. And this points out that even though it's not the same physical location, although it is in the business district, which is where the house burned down, Alessa was drawn to that altar because it is the same kind of thing that was in her basement in her home, or the second floor of her house, because Origins loves being wrong so much. Next question, number 52. What sort of partnership did Dahlia and Kaufman have? And the answer is the best one possible. The one that everyone should aspire to. One centered around drugs and magic. Dahlia and Kaufman were connected by the trade of White Claudia, used to make the drug PTV. In the game, the white powder in the safe at the general store is PTV. The cult has used White Claudia, the raw material for the drug, during its ritual since ancient times. In short, despite the fact that the religious cult to which Dahlia belongs is a secret society, they have come to possess a sort of structure and organizational capability that allows them to manufacture narcotics beyond the reach of police surveillance. White Claudia, which is refined into the extremely powerful drug PTV, is transferred out of the cult and sold chiefly to tourists by Kaufman. In return, Kaufman carries out illegal medical dealings, such as phony autopsy reports and diverting pharmaceuticals into illegal channels. And then, ever since the fire 7 years ago, magic through the power of the malevolent god and the matter of nursing the burned Alessa became bargaining points. Kaufman's desire, the scope of which illustrates his worldly self-interests, was the profit yielded by the drug. I always wonder what PTV stands for. Playable teaser. I need a word that starts with V that means drug. Me too, though. Me too. I have no answer. I have thought about it. I can never come up with anything that sounds funny. It's hard to know without really knowing what the drug does. Except for makes you hallucinate a lot. But anyway. Kaufman is a realist by nature who does not believe in things like spells and black magic, but he accepted the responsibility of caring for Alessa so that the White Claudia exchange would continue to take place in his favor. However, being a first-hand witness to the deaths of the mayor and the narcotics officer, both of which were brought on about by means of the magic drawn from the embryonic malevolent god's power, it seems he came to the decision that if magic was something he could use, he would take advantage of it. Incidentally, the mysterious deaths of a development group that Lisa mentions during her conversation with Harry is kind of an urban legend, so whether or not that thing actually happened is uncertain. The timeline in the book Lost Memories, in the other book that we will pick up on Saturday, has those deaths on the timeline, so they probably did happen, but who knows. Question number 60. Who is the guy who ran the general store? Norman Young. He's a former colleague of Kaufman's. Norman Young was once involved in a low-level drug trafficking together with Kaufman, but washed his hands of it completely because the risk was too great. He had nothing to do with the cult, and it seems that he had heard rumors that Kaufman had recently done things that were disquieting. From details, such as the fact that he was asked to transport food to the motel, it can be surmised that he might have been a henchman of sorts for Kaufman. In any case, Norman Young is not someone who is particularly relevant to the events of Silent Hill. He shows up in one picture and is probably dead. Whatever. Okay. Question 64. What can the Flauros do? Answer, it has tremendous magical effects. It is said that powerful magic abilities lie dormant within the Flauros, which is excavated from ancient ruins. Dahlia prepared the Flauros in secret as a trump card that was hers alone. It is unclear whether she saw the current situation on the horizon. As for the etymology of the Flauros, it is one of the 72 spirits of Solomon and the name of someone who possesses faculties as an antagonist. I really wish that answer was longer, but what are you gonna do? Cage of Peace, they found it in ruins. I don't know. Whatever. Deal with it. What is the Aglaophatus? So we haven't actually seen the Aglaophatus really do anything in the game yet. The Aglaophatus is the name given to the red goo that we found smashed in Kaufman's office. That we saw Kaufman take out of a bike gas tank. Norman Young, yeah, if you look at the wiki page for the Indian Runner, the general store, there's like a newspaper article for a dude that runs the store, Norman's, and a note left behind by Norman Young, who like is the guy taking food to the motel and stuff. He like shows up as a background character in the side quest to save Kaufman in the first game, and never comes. Like this says, he's not important, but that's neat that they took the time to spell that out. Final question: what is Aglaophatus? The red goo. Answer: the last resort against a malevolent god. The religious cult to which Dahlia belongs, as previously mentioned, possesses an original structure that is wholly separate from any religious doctrine that exists in reality, although in some cases its concept and terms were appropriated from other religious terminology for the sake of convenience. This is because of the, quote, new religion aspect, which came about as the cult's doctrine was systematized through the process of researching theology and demonology. Aglaophatus is a term from the Kabbalah that means something like amulet. Dahlia and the others were using it to mean something that impedes the malevolent deity, what they call God. This is because they consider the roots of demons, as they are called in conventional religions, to not be far removed from those of the god of the land in which they believe. Kaufman, who was aware of its existence from the rumors in the cult, secretly obtained a Glophitis and then divided it up and hid it away as a last resort, just in case, having calculated that someone could have found out what he was doing. Just as he expected, the Glophitis that was in the hospital had been thrown onto the floor and smashed completely, but at the end of the game, Kaufman uses the other Glophitis that he had hidden in the motorcycle, although it would seem to have no effect. Glophitis is extremely rare, and Kaufman must have had to go to extraordinary lengths to obtain it. These facts indicate that in spite of their cooperative relationship, Kaufman distrusted Dahlia and the others. So that's the end of the QA, or the Q&A. Lots of cool stuff. The big thing, again, is the answer about why does the town suddenly go dark, and the explanation about the dual realities of the fog world and the other world. Once again, now that we're at the end, I'll link it again. Here is the link to the translation of this Q&A that is found in the Silent Hill official guidebook, which will be on that shelf behind me eventually, once it shows up from Japan. There are these translation notes down here, which are really cool, but I am not the guy to parse them. I don't know any Japanese, so if you're interested, I invite you to go read that yourself, because I don't know, I believe them. But yeah, that is that. So with that done, with our with another foray into the supplemental materials all wrapped up, let's boot up the game proper, and we are actually very close to the end here. Boop. Where did Davey go? Hey, VR. Yeah, no, it all had to go. It all had to go. My sideburns got annihilated a little bit, so I'm actually happy to be wearing these headphones right now. But, what's going on, buddy? How you doing? All right, let me do the video game. Hopefully this just works. That would be cool if this just worked. It doesn't look like it's just gonna work. Oh, hey, there we go. Awesome. Okay, now I just need my controller to work, and then we'll be good. Yay! Okay. Tail end to itself just popping and checking everyone. Awesome. Yeah, no, we're all good over here. We doing Silent Hill, staying hydrated. That's about it. Same as always. I need to play Fatal Frame once we're done with the current Silent Hill series playthrough. So in like a month and a half, that's gonna have to happen. I'm like genuinely fearful of that. I'm not. I'm excited because those will be fun streams, but I'm gonna have to be careful with how long I play that game at any given time, because fuck. But anyway, that's a story for then. Let's see what continue does. Is that just gonna bring us where we were? It should. Why am I opening my work email? What's wrong with me? This is stupid. Okay, so here we are, right before where we left off in the last stream. So, at first glance, after Harry woke up from his apparent dream, from his becoming unconscious and everything fading to black, after Alessa was hit by the Flowers, was hit by the Millennium Puzzle that we were keeping in our pocket for all that time, which is no longer in my inventory, I think. I think it gets expended. After that happens, Alessa's control over the power of the town and her ability to project out her nightmare onto Silent Hill begins to collapse. And what appears here to be Alchemilla Hospital, to be the hospital we visited earlier in the game, is actually just one part of a very broken landscape that this translation of this game anyway calls Nowhere. As I have been told, again, I do not speak any Japanese. I can't read any Japanese. I don't know jack shit about translation or localization. As I have heard from the folks who have translated the stuff, that was never translated into English. All right, VR, you take care. You go take care of you and yours. I hope everything works out. I hope everything straightens up. You take care, buddy. Have a good weekend. As I understand, Nowhere is like kind of an interesting way to translate it, where like it's not meant to be a place called Nowhere. It's kind of like you are not in a place that exists. You are literally like you're in a nothing space, but it just kind of gets called Nowhere. I don't know. It's kind of a split hair. Anyway, let's walk through this door in the hospital. One thing I love about this game is that so only on the New Game Plus can I do this. Can I bring the camera over Harry's like right behind Harry's head like this? They built that camera for this scene. That always happens right here. This isn't me doing this.
I'm being summoned. What happened in this town? What could be making things like this? I have a feeling if I take the elevator down, I'll find it. Cheryl.
All right, let's begin. The elevator does not appear to be working. Bummer. Okay. This door is locked. The word Phaleg is carved into the door. And you can kind of see that. You can kind of tell how the yellow scribbles at the very center of the door might spell Phaleg. Maybe. More recognizably though is the symbol above where the writing is supposed to be there. That's one of the symbols that we saw in being shown on the screens where Harry got that message back in the mall. Here's another one. This door is also locked. The word Ophiel is carved into the door. We'll be seeing all of those symbols and these mysterious names associated with them as we traverse through this strange dimension where we are currently in what looks like the hospital, but we go through this door. Not this door. There's one of these doors, damn it. This is a hospital? Yeah, hold on. There's a nurse back here. There she is. Look how hospital-y it is. Doesn't look hospital? No, it does not. Although, I mean, they are making kind of hospitable noises if depending on the profession. How you doing, Pandemic? How'd your week go, buddy? How you holding up? Yeah, this is the, yeah, it's so dope, right? I love how everything only, you really gotta, what's that noise? You really gotta buy in for the things to like, line up to be what they're supposed to be. I genuinely love how this game works. This week kind of blew too busy. Ah, man. That was my week for the first half, and then I gave up. It was cool. But yeah, this is like the Satan-y version, the otherworld version of the hospital that we were in earlier. But go through this door, suddenly we're in the antique shop. Just, again, we are in nowhere. We are in this space. We are in Alessa's otherworld as it begins to fall apart, and all the important parts all collide all at once. The hospital being where Alessa was being held all those years with her burns and pain. This antique shop being where the replica of the altar in Alessa's house that she worshipped growing up is being kept. We'll keep an eye on all the other places that we'll end up finding during our time here in nowhere. Here's a clock. Old clock. There's a square hole in the center of the clock. The hands of the clock. Oh, it's a key. I can't get into it because of the glass cover. So we'll have to remember that there is a key inside of the clock. And then, hopefully I don't forget that, because I got stuck there for a really long time one time. Because I forgot to do stuff with that clock. Here's a weird thing. There's a key in this faucet. But I can't get it out no matter how much I pull. Sucks. Keys demand doors. Doors demand keys. Use the gun to break the glass. That might damage the key, and the key is all. The bird cage is locked, and it sure sounds like there's a bird in there, but whatever, that's weird. And there wasn't a key in there when we saw the bird cage in the hospital proper earlier. But now there is a key and what sounds like a bird. Don't worry about it. It's fine. So we've seen 2 locked doors and 2 keys that we can't, actually 3 keys that we can't grab. Hopefully one of these doors avails us like something helpful. So we're heading, at first it looks like you're heading down to the basement, but I can't remember if this is the basement or the antique shop, downstairs section. But it doesn't really matter either way, because suddenly we're in the school. Another place that ended up being very important to Alessa, a place where the darkness is gathering in Alessa's otherworld, or had gathered. And let's see why that may have been. Why was this place important? Why is my phone making that noise? We see a single solitary desk, all on its lonesome, and scratched on that desk the words, "Go home, thief, drop dead." Among others. People at school, not fans of Alessa. And Alessa, not a fan of the people in school. We got a screwdriver. We also got a pliers. Booyah. It's gonna take that from that operating table that we're not gonna think too hard about. So we can grab a key, but let's check all these other doors first. This door looks like it's got words on it. It's locked. The word Haggith is carved on the door. Again, you can kinda see that that's supposed to be Haggith. There at the bottom. Like, kinda. Let's see, did I miss any doors? Is that a door? This looks like a door, but it's a window. And then I skipped this door. But it's locked. Alright, let's go grab that key. We got those pliers, and we found that key stuck in a faucet. Let us achieve. There's a key of Ophiel. Take it? Okay. The word Ophiel is engraved in the key. And you can see the symbol that we found on the Ophiel door is also carved on the key. So let's open up that door. That's Phaleg. Use the key of Ophiel. And another hallway. This lock is jammed. Lock's broken. This lock's broken. It's puzzle time. We love puzzle time. Let's achieve a puzzle. We see like a bowl, and then there's a number pad. And we can see below the number pad what looks like some kind of magic blue square, which is probably going to be very important. And then over here, we see some kind of Minotaur friend, and then another keypad. And on this side, we see two stupid children just doing a little dance, and also a little keypad. So let's see what we might avail from the rest of this room, because we have some more drawings, but these drawings have numbers under them. We have looks like a ram or a bull or whatever, I don't care, and the number 4. So we can see it has 4 legs, so maybe it's legs? Here we have a crab that with the number 10 on it, and if we count its appendages, the 4 legs on either side and the 2 arms, that is 8 legs and 2 arms equals 10, so maybe it's arms and legs combined? Here we have 2 scales, and the number 2, yeah, sure. Scales are like legs. And then here's a fish, and fish have scales, but the number is 0. So scales are 0, but if your scales are made of legs, then the legs count. But fish don't have legs, you see. So we're just gonna guess. Some kind of bull thing. I don't know. It has 4 legs. I'm gonna say 4. Minotaur friend, 4 legs and 2 arms. I'm gonna say 6. Yeah. Finally. The 2 children dancing. They each got 2 arms and 2 legs, so I'm gonna say 8. Ha ha! I got it. I got the blue. I got the blue square. I've achieved the Stone of Time. Yeah. Let's look at the Stone of Time. Large stone with a clock face design on pillar with astrology chart hanging from it. I believe you. Whatever. It just kind of looks blue. It's like a blue thing. No! No, 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 no. No. Ah! No. Damn it, Harry. Move backwards while shooting gun. Idiot. Ah! I'm gonna need to be careful because I can't do the cool glitch. Because I don't have the rifle. So I'm gonna need to make sure I keep enough bullets to actually kill the final boss. Because I can't kill him the fun way. But we'll talk about the fun way when we get there. I just can't show it off because I cannot deplete all these rifle bullets I own. Can't just throw those on the ground. They're too valuable. Over here, when we were in the real hospital, or as real as the hospital's ever gotten for us, we found this slab on what I think is the 3rd floor of the hospital. And this slab was completely blank earlier. But now that the other world is falling apart, we see names engraved on a lithograph, the Grim Reaper's list. Yes, the head count is set up, young and old lined up in order of age. Then the pathway opens, awaiting them the frenzied uproar, the feast of death. All right. That's cool. That sounds cool. That sounds like a really cool thing to put in the hospital. Just uproar. Yay, yay, I say to you, the feast of death approaches. Hallelujah. Please tip your doctor or whatever. So over here, there's a door. Door's locked. There's also a thing next to the door. It looks like a big old number pad or a lithograph from, like, out of Myst, like out of the old adventure game. So let's see if we can figure out what the fuck that's supposed to be. Over here is something that we could see in the real hospital, or the real hospital. The Grim Reaper's list. There is a slate. It says 35, Lydia Finley. 60, Trevor F. White. 18, Albert Lords. 45, Roberta T. Morgan. And 38, Edward C. Briggs. So, according to the thing on the other side, let's just go ahead and read that again. Names engraved on a lithograph, the Grim Reaper's list. Yes, the head count is set. Young and old lined up in order of age, awaiting them the pathway, or then the pathway opens, awaiting them the frenzied uproar of the feast of death. So let's organize those people by those numbers, from youngest to oldest, and see if that avails us something. It looks like it's going to be 18, 35, 38, 45, 60. So if we do that, if we look at the first letters of those names in that order, first up is at age 18, the letter A. At 35, L. 38, E. 45 R. 60 T. ALERT. Alert is apparently the word that comes off the Grim Reaper's list, and we got this lithograph right over here, and we could spell words on it. A. L. E. R. T. Huzzah. Now, what awaits us here is said to be the Feast of Death. So, it's probably fine. Everything we're gonna see over here, everything is going to be fine. Huh. This is where that morgue was. All those dead people, all the deadies, all the stiffs, kept under their little corpse blankets. Here's a thing. We find our first MacGuffin, our first symbol for the final door of the game. And it was mentioned that the faith of this town kind of used a little bit of syncretism when they were establishing their faith. They did use like ideas and names from other faiths for the sake of convenience. And in order for us to pass through nowhere and to pass through this this cascading and falling apart version of reality manifested by Alessa, who, despite it all, whose mind was very much built by the beliefs of the cult, we're gonna have to gather all of these things together in order to put together the full picture. So the first one we find is the Amulet of Solomon, as called by the game anyway. The amulet is a star-shaped object with 6 corners named after the ancient magician. And so before we walk through this door, I guess I should come back. So again, Lisa Garland, the nurse that we saw, or the nurse that Harry became acquainted with over the course of this game's story. Weird quirk about her is that she has exclusively only shown up in this otherworld hospital, in the version of the hospital that is in the reverse side, in this more hellish side of reality, where Alessa's nightmares darken and become very, very deeply entrenched in the reality that the people in this town face. It's been hinted that Lisa feels that she cannot leave this place. She's not supposed to leave. There's something keeping her here, and she does look a whole lot like those other nurse enemies with the parasites on their back that we've been seeing, and And we talked about how that parasite, because all the enemies in this game are kind of projected out by, as like a sense of Alessa's hatred and the feelings that she feels. All the other nurses and doctors in this place would have been people that Alessa thought were in on it, were just following the orders of the cult, and were literally had a parasite inside of them in terms of the influence of the cult on them. But we know that Alessa had a caretaker, a woman named Lisa Garland, and if you are a young woman in constant pain at all times, but there's a nurse that is doing her best to take care of you, doing her best to try to keep you as healthy as possible, as we see in Silent Hill 3, that person would not be hated by Alessa. That person would be considered by Alessa to be an angel. And even when they are manifested by the powers of the town, they would kind of retain the humanity that everyone else loses, because while Alessa is very overtly hateful most of the time, which is why most of the town is very dark and fucked up, Alessa wouldn't be that, or sorry, not Alessa, Lisa wouldn't be that way. Anyway, I bring that up for no reason.
Harry?
Lisa, what's the matter with you?
I get it now. Why I'm still alive even though everyone else is dead. I'm not the only one who's still walking around. I'm the same as them. I just hadn't noticed it before.
Lisa.
Stay by me, Harry. Please. I'm so scared. Help me. Save me from them. Please. Harry?
Lisa?
So, just to state it plainly, as Lisa alludes to there, the Lisa that we've seen in this game, because she cannot leave the hospital, she's only manifested in this place. Lisa Garland, the Lisa Garland we know is not Lisa Garland, like, really and truly. Dr. Kaufman, Sybil, Dahlia, the other people that Harry has met on his journey in Silent Hill are real. They are the real Dr. Kaufman, the real Dahlia, the real Sybil Bennett. But Lisa is, just like all of the other ones walking around, just a manifestation of Alessa's feelings. And while most of the time those feelings manifest as monstrous, hateful forms, Lisa, being the one who took care of Alessa, is projected pretty much as probably an idealized version of herself. One of the sticking points people had with Origins is that the Lisa that we see in Origins is very different from the Lisa we see in this game. But I think that's one of the things Origins actually gets right. Because like the Lisa we meet in Silent Hill 1 is vain and like a little vain, still sweet but vain, and has much bigger aspirations than the Lisa that we know in this game, and never, the list we know, never alludes to that. But I think that makes sense because Alessa was never in a position to see any of those things. And having a version of Lisa that is similar but more like fleshed out and more flawed, importantly, than the version that we see in this game, who is like idyllic and angelic in Alessa's mind, I think is really clever. One of the things that Origins does well. But as that realization dawns, and now that the other world and Alessa's manifestations are falling apart, the Lisa that we knew begins to literally physically fall apart there, in probably Silent Hill 1's most iconic image, where Lisa just starts, like, bleeding from everywhere. But we can go back in. Lisa's gone, but there is something left behind. There's a diary on the floor. Ask doctor to let me quit being in charge of that patient. It's too weird. Still alive, but with wounds that won't heal. Told the doctor that I quit. Won't work at that hospital anymore. The room is filled with insects. Even with the doors and windows shut, they get in to spite me. To the hospital. Feeling bad, need to throw up, but nothing comes out, vomiting only bile. Blood and pus flow from the bathroom faucet. I try to stop it, but it won't turn off. Need drug. So this is part of where the drug little sideline and the core story hit probably their biggest intersection, where here it implies that or just outright states really that Lisa was kept under Kaufman's control by Kaufman distributing this drug, this PTV, to her. And when she tries to quit, when she tries to get away from the situation, Kaufman knows that he just has to wait for Lisa to begin to relapse from its effects. And interestingly, one of the things that were kind of left open at the end of this game is the fact that a lot of the symptoms that Lisa suffers from there, a lot of the symptoms that Lisa goes through while she is suffering withdrawal effects of PTV, sound really similar to what the other world looks like in this game. Blood and pus dripping from every faucet, bugs everywhere. Everything's just having this sense of overburdening fear. Is not dissimilar to what Harry has been seeing through the course of this game. And we know that the cult did use this drug in order to kind of like prime people for joining the cult and to be more mystified by the magical powers that they were able to wield. So maybe that's not a coincidence, but and it could it could be a little bit of like darkness in her heart situation coming up, but who knows? Help me. And interestingly, again, kind of similar to how Maria in Silent Hill 2 seems to have information that the person conjuring her doesn't seem to, where Maria knows about Laura, and Maria wants to protect Laura, and Maria keeps all of these residual ideas that Mary would have had before she passed. Things that we are never overtly told, at least, that James knows anything about, despite Maria being a manifestation of James's mind. Now, it's possible that James is kind of suppressing the memories of Laura, as he is suppressing everything about the last 3 years, so he might have known who Laura is, but can't place it in the moment. It could also be that the town is cribbing from Mary herself, whose body is in the car. But it is interesting that we have this diary here that shows a bit of Lisa's backstory that doesn't really make sense for Alessa to know. unless Lisa was like telling Alessa about it. So exactly where that comes from, we know that the power of the town has been corrupted by the suffering of the town's inhabitants. So maybe the power is manifesting just a little bit of the quote real Lisa here. Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? Like with so many things in this game, and the reason why we keep coming back to it, it's a mystery. But that is mostly the end of Lisa Garland's story, although in one of the endings we'll see her do one last thing. Very, very sad story. I love that track, by the way. That's a really good track. What's it called? I used to know what it was called. I think it's not You're Not. It's not You're Not Here. That's the Silent Hill 3 thing. Not Tomorrow? Never Tomorrow? Hold on. Let me find it. Silent Hill 3, not 3. Not Tomorrow? Okay, yeah, it's called Not Tomorrow. Anyway, good song. It's probably my favorite track in this game. One of the ones that, and it's something that we'll see in the Book of Lost Memories when we get to that tomorrow, when we wrap up all the stuff from the first game. But Kiriyama Oka talks about this game's soundtrack as more like diegetic sounds that are happening to Harry. It's a lot of like loud, metallic drums and industrial sounds. There's not a lot of overt music. There's not a lot of just like soundtrack in the game. This is one of the few times where just overtly the game is using the soundtrack to like tinge on the tone of the scene, and it's a really good fucking song. I remember one night I was listening to this on repeat while I was working on a PowerPoint or something, and my mom walked in and asked for the song, because like she had been listening to it as I was listening to it for like an hour, and she was like, I don't know whether to cry or just like try to just like read a book or go to sleep or something. Like this song is making me feel stuff. I was like, yeah, I know. It's trying to get across a lot of ideas in a really short period of time, and for being something that they built on the PS1 synth, it's really pretty, in the opinion of a guy who knows nothing about music. Anyway, let's move on. We got the Stone of Time. And a while ago, we found this clock in the antique shop that is attached to the hospital now for whatever reason. So let's go ahead and use that Stone of Time because it's got a clock on it or something. Ah! Very, very aggressive alarm clock. We got the Key of Haggoth. Let's look at it. The word Haggoth is inscribed upon the key. There it is. We saw the key, or the door to Haggoth at some point. I think it's the one at the end of this hallway. Yeah. Let's see, we're in the elevator room. So let's see, what floor does the other world think that we're on right now? So looks like the first floor. That goes nowhere. Second floor. Okay, lock's broken. Lock's broken. The blue ones were the weak ones. Why did it take so long? Thank you. I don't know why I'm picking up these bullets. I never found the rifle. I don't know if we see this room at any point in the actual game. This kind of looks like a store that may have been in the mall. I don't know where this is. But anyway, there are a few things here. Right here we find the Ring of Contract, which we'll look at once I can leave the room because I hate the sound this room makes. And the Crest of Mercury, another one of the idols, one of the potentially false idols that we have to collect in order to end this story. This door's lock is broken. Okay, looks like that sound is over. So we got the Ring of Contract, a rustic, hefty-looking ring of unknown material. And then we have the Crest of Mercury. Snake and the symbol of Mercury signifies alchemy. Moaning. Lock is jammed. Lock is jammed. This door is unlocked. Wait, what? Oh, cool. Okay, there's the failing door. So now we kind of got a shortcut. We can go through that door at the end of this hallway and go up the elevator to another floor that leads to this door on the same floor that we're already on. Okay. Whatever. Whatever you say. Green nurses are so aggro. Why can't you be chill like Blue Nurse? There we go. How am I doing? I got stabbed a little. I'll drink one ketchup. Drink a ketchup. So, this is another one of those weird, hard to kind of circle in your head parts of this video game here. When we were in the hospital previously, like in the actual physical spot in the hospital, there was a steel plate screwed to the wall. And now that we're here again, with the other world falling apart, we see the same plate in the wall, but this time we have a screwdriver that we found later, and now we could own that thing that is in a place that we are not, but whatever, it's ours. Unfortunately, what is behind it is a key that has electricity flowing through it, and I will be shocked if I grab it now. So even though we can unscrew the thing, we can't actually avail its secrets. We will have to shut off the electricity in this fakey made-up hyper dimension or something. So let's figure out how to do that, and then remember where this door is. Hopefully. Delicious bullets. There's a camera. I'm gonna take the camera. Let's look at the camera. It's a camera. Camera with flash, notably. That'll be important. It has HM5, I think, on it. So I think that's everything we can do in here for now. Did I forget that I have a key? Doesn't look like it. All right, so in that case, I think we've done everything there is to do on this floor for now. So let's go back to the elevator. Go up to the 3rd floor. Oh, and we see here on the 3rd floor what looks like an apparition of Alessa praying at what looks like another recreation of the altar in the other church that we saw. Accordingly, we see some of these apparent sacraments next to it. The light to the future, and we can see in this painting, the light to the future in the back there, a very interesting looking great spear that will come up in the second game. The light illuminating the darkness, it says. And then here it looks like an altar. I wonder what they worship. It's a good question. Anyway, this thing said the light illuminating the future was the name of this painting, or the light illuminating the darkness. Sorry, and we have a camera with flash that illuminates, right? Right? Bang. And we see three symbols: like a pi symbol, a plus sign, and a right triangle at the bottom left. So those symbols there might correlate to the crazy symbols on this door. Okay. So we have this door here, it's locked, but it's got these crazy markings on it. Let's do our best to draw, nope, those symbols here on this door using the patterns that we have availed to us. Boom, 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 boom. Do, 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 do. Do. Booyah. And here we see, I think this is Dr. Kaufman's office? Yeah. Where we originally found the red goo that we used to save the cop. I always think you can pick up this thing on the ground here. There's a place mark in this book. White Claudia, perennial herb found near water, reaches height of 10 to 15 inches. Oblong leaves, white blossoms. Seeds contain hallucinogen. Ancient records show it was used for religious ceremonies. The hallucinogenic effect was the key. So again, the game, I wonder if there's like a world where Keiichiro Toyama sticks around and like Silent Hill 2 ends up cribbing more into the White Claudia aspect of this game, like if there was ever a way, or if there was ever a world where like the other world and the manifestations of the town have more to do with White Claudia than they end up taking on. But even like we saw in the Ultimate Guide book Q&A that came out, I think the same year as this game, they were all pretty clear that it's not just everyone is high right now. That's not all that's going on at the very least. Like they more talk about it as like a gateway they use to trick tourists into thinking their god is real or whatever. So we can go ahead and use that camera over here again. Boom. And we got three more symbols: the right triangle, backwards graph, and an arrow pointing to the bottom left. Hopefully I remember that. So let's go ahead and insert those. Boop, 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 boop. I already forgot the triangle. And this was an arrow pointing to the bottom left. I think it was this. Perfect. We got a bird cage key. Awesome. So we saw that bird cage earlier. It sounded like it had a bird in it, even though there was no bird. And now we can free that maybe bird. Booyah. Nowhere is really confusing to navigate. So far, I haven't gotten lost, but I guarantee I'll get lost at least once before we're done with this. We got a key for a door. Let's open... Nope, wrong door. There we go. Let's open up the door to the birdcage and then get another key for probably a different door. Let's do it. Yes, you can. Shut up. There we go. We got the key of Phalig. And once we open the birdcage and take the key out, suddenly, we don't hear that bird no more. What was once trapped is now freed once we enter the Phalig door. Or something. And behind the Phalig door, we see that this is where... Oh God! Shadow Demon. Whatever. This is the place where Alessa was being held prisoner all those years under the hospital. In that little tunnel that was held extremely top secret. Okay. Give me a minute. I need to go do something before we hang out with that refrigerator. I don't know how I feel about that refrigerator. It feels like a real dick move. This area is already really confusing, and the thing they do with that fridge feels mean. But anyway, let's go find out what's going on with that refrigerator. Here's a fridge. We can see inside of the fridge, like kind of jammed within the door there on the top, what looks like a sword. The chain is missing a link. There is a dagger of Melchior. Take it? No. No, I'm not gonna take it. Feels like there's probably a reason why the game is pointing out that a chain link is missing. To be fair, the game is explicitly pointing out that like there's a thing here that is unlinked. You should probably like consider that thought before you carry on. And in the back here, in the ventilation, going on here at the bottom of the freezer, fridge, whatever, you can see all this blood and rust kind of congealing down there. But that's just Silent Hill. That's normal. That's normal good times. So, coward, I'm no coward. I'm just setting up the joke. Let's take the dagger of Melchior. Mine! I fucking win! Yeah, look at it. The ancient dagger named after the Magi. Hey-ya. Hey-ya. Game over. Game over, you lose. Haha. You fell for it. You fell for the trick. You opened the fridge. Now you're dead. Why'd you do that? That was stupid. You're stupid. Anyway, we have a way to counteract that. So let's go ahead and do that this time instead of just perishing, which again, you like, it's a real struggle to make progress in nowhere because nothing in the map makes any sense. You are walking between all the other locations that you've seen in the game so far in like an apparently random order, and you get about halfway through nowhere, and then the game gives you a like like a one-hit kill out of nowhere. It's the only time that happens. It's the only time in any of the games, really, any of the games that Team Silent made, where you can just fucking die if you get a puzzle wrong. It feels a little mean, but it's probably memorable if it happens to you. But anyway, Popet, how you doing, buddy? How'd your week go? How's your weekend starting? I hope it's good. Oh fuck, the Padres are playing. Let me turn on the Padres game. My brother is actually at the Padres game, like in person right now. So I'm sure he's having fun. I'm also having fun because I am hold on, game. Because I am going to use on this refrigerator the Ring of Contract, a rustic, heavy-looking ring of unknown material. It's made of contract. What are you talking about? Anyway, we used the Ring of Contract to seal the refrigerator closed. Those, all we had to do was seal together those, like, flimsy paper clips there, and now the hentai monster cannot hurt Harry Mason. There's a dagger of Melchior. Take it? Yes. As we walk away this time, heh. Loser! You're a loser! Stupid. I win. Anyway. Moving on. Ooh, baseball. I can never remember where the cutscenes are in this part of the game, so I'm gonna be taking my face off the screen a lot, and then it's not gonna matter. Although this is an important room, this is a very, very, very intricately plotted out piece of Silent Hill lore in this room. Not the bullets, some much more important, some that'll have ramifications for decades to come. There are some jelly beans here. There are 39 flavors of jelly beans in the jelly beans bag. Do we want to open the bag? I do. I want jelly beans. Oh my god. I have no idea why Harry does that. I have no idea why Harry just fucking like goes Hulk mode and like just tries to tear apart that bag of jelly beans as thoroughly as he can, and like he has no interest. You can't see the fucking key from inside the bag, as far as I know. He has no interest in there being jelly beans for anyone to enjoy, and just annihilates the bag as completely as possible. But in any case, there was a key in the bag. We have the key of Bathor, so let's grab it. It's ours now. So when we were in the hospital the first time, not in this, like, nowhere is collapsing version, we found this television. But when we tried to play the videotape that we found in the hospital, this videotape right here, down in the basement's basement, we couldn't play it. The VHS was broken. But now that Alessa's reality is falling apart, she the fact that she thinks every VHS player in the world is destroyed, every VCR is just non-functional, that belief that she has very deeply instilled in her psyche is beginning, like its influence on the town is falling apart. We can play this bloody videotape in the VCR, no problem.
What is it? Still has an unusually high fever. Eyes don't open. Getting a pulse, but just barely breathing. Her skin is all charred. Even when I change the bandages, the blood and pus just start oozing through. Why? What is keeping that child alive? I can't stand it any longer. I won't tell a soul. Promise. Please.
So there we see a little bit more of quote unquote real Lisa, the experience of Lisa Garland being tasked with taking care of Alessa and seeing that it was not something that she was into. She wanted very much to be done with it, but the power of drugs could take a great toll. And again, it's interesting that Alessa, who presumably wasn't privy to that conversation, as the other world is falling apart, we seem to be seeing parts of reality outside of Alessa's understanding creeping in. But anyway, pressing on. Here we see an image of young Alessa. We've seen Alessa walking around as a phantom a few times in this game, but the Alessa that we've seen here in Nowhere seems to primarily be young Alessa. Alessa she would have looked when she was 7, when she was burned. Not the version of Alessa that we've seen that looks older, closer to her true age of 14. That is kind of like current present Alessa with her current agency. But here we see probably an apparition of one of the punishments that Alessa would have been given by her mother, just being trapped in a room, maybe in her old house, with one of the pieces of the syncretic like ideologies that built up the beliefs of the Order, but also with all of these real cool, real calming pieces of imagery, just adorning every surface of this room. Anyway, let's just go ahead and grab this thing. We have achieved the Ankh. This door is locked and the word Eritron is carved on the door. So I'll have to keep that in mind. There is another door here, but we're not going to worry about that for now. Because we got the key of Bathor. Yeah. And inside the key of Bathor, we see the generator. The generator that we previously turned on in the real hospital. We need to turn that off so that we can grab a key from somewhere else. Goodbye. So let's try to remember where that key lives. I do not remember where I left it. Probably if we go through here and then this way. Oh God! Oh, ghost children. Ghost stabbers. Yay, found it. Here we find the key of Eritron. We just found the door to Eritron. So let's go back to that. Oh, get off me! Can I don't know if I can shoot these things. I've never tried. Hey, you can! Sweet! I'm killing ghosts! With my gun! They bleed. Need the failing door. And then run all the way down so we can get the door of Eritron. Cutscene, big cutscene.
Everything is going according to plan, sheltered in the womb.
But it's not done yet. Half the soul is lost. That is why the seed lies dormant.
And what soul remains captured in that husk is buried deep down in the subconscious.
Are you trying to say it won't work? That wasn't our agreement.
No, these are just stalling tactics. If we lend a hand, we will be able to get power. Never fear, the promise shall not be broken.
But the power we could draw now will be very weak. Almost nothing. Unless we get the other half of the soul.
We'll use a magical spell. Feeling this child's pain, it's sure to come.
But that will take time.
So behind the door of Eritron, we find Alessa's sick room. The room that she was kept in all those years underneath Alchemilla Hospital. And we hear four figures, two of whom are familiar. We hear Dahlia and Dr. Kaufman, and two other characters who I have no idea who they are. One of them I think is voiced by Harry's voice actor, which is interesting. But no idea who those other two guys are. But anyway, they're talking about how Alessa split her soul after she was impregnated with God. And that's why the ritual was not completed. Half of the soul lies dormant, as they said. And in order to draw that other half of the soul back, the half of the soul that manifested as Cheryl, they used a magical spell in order to force the other half of the soul to feel a compulsion to come back to Silent Hill. Alessa's half of the soul kind of fought back against that spell for 7 years, but eventually the pain inflicted on her by Dahlia was so great that the spell ended up pressing on to Cheryl, and that called Cheryl to the town, and has led to the events of the game that we have seen so far. And right here, next to the picture of Alessa that we've already seen, is the Disc of Ouroboros. Appropriately right next to the bed where this cycle that Alessa's soul is going to be trapped in of death and rebirth for this game and the next game, and potentially beyond that, because Dead by Daylight of all things kind of continues the cycle a little bit, coming after 3. We find the Disc of Ouroboros, the symbol of the beginning and the end being the same thing. So let's take a look at that. And we'll take a look at our entire inventory once we leave this room, because the sound in here gets my stomach stirring for whatever reason. So there's this last door right here, the door I didn't go in earlier. And that's because this door right here leads to the final room in the game. We might have to go back for other stuff, I honestly don't remember. But here, we find a representation of Alessa's bedroom. The room that Alessa uses her bedroom as a child. There are cards scattered on the floor. We will learn in Silent Hill 3 that these cards, when Heather, the reincarnation of Alessa, comes through this room herself. Baseball? Baseball, yeah! Run fast! There we go. Go baseball. I love baseball. These cards were used by Alessa and one of her childhood friends, Claudia. And Alessa would frequently beat Claudia at cards and in everything. There are dolls on the floor. We will learn what the name of one of those dolls in Silent Hill 3. Nothing unusual on this shelf. Apparently. Trying to get him to look at the books on the ground, but he's not doing it. There are a specimen of butterflies and moths hanging on the wall. So here is how we know and can parse that that Alessa has a great interest in insects. A lot of the creatures, especially the ones in the bottom right display there, look a lot like the float stinger, the moth or butterfly-like enemy that we fight in the final Otherworld section, the Otherworld Overworld situation where the caterpillar that we kill evolves into a big butterfly-looking thing. We also see a save point, which we know that these save points are from the beginning of the game. Apparently, Harry, like writing down the things that he's experienced over the course of his journey in the town. And one of the coolest things about 3 is that Heather will find a few of these things. Remember that in the other world, time is fucky and everything kind of happens all at once. So Heather being able to find the notepads that Harry is writing on in Silent Hill 1 when she is making her journey through the other world in Silent Hill 3 is a really nice way that we get a little bit more of Harry's perspective in this game. We get to see what he was thinking when he was looking at Alessa's room here. But we'll leave all that for Silent Hill 3. For now, I'm just going to save my game. We can see a picture of something or someone like hung over this bed, but other than that, nothing else to do with the bed. A child's drawings are scattered on the floor, and a girl's clothing hangs on the wall. 6 or maybe 7, must be a kid about that age, and we know Alessa was 7 when she was taken for the ritual. To birth God, so effectively that's when her life would have ended, although she would live on. None of this stuff is of any use. And over here we see a bookshelf. There are old fairy tales, pictures, or picture books of animals and plants on the shelf. And we know that a lot of Alessa's interests stem from fairy tales and other books like The Lost World. We saw in the Cheshire Cat puzzle, the puzzle with all the colored squares in the hospital, and the Alice in Wonderland themed keys to Eclipse at the beginning of the game, and the split worm boss in the school. A lot of the fears and feelings that have been manifested in Silent Hill by Alessa stem from her interest in these fairy tales and picture books of the animals that would go on to be the dog and Roper, or no, the Romper is her fear of adults. But anyway, everything in that bookshelf there is imprinted on the town, as we've seen the last couple of hours. A child's drawing scattered on the floor here, and I believe that is just about it, except for the final door, which is, of course, locked. But thou possess them to guard thy spirit, evoke 5 rites, unveil thy fate. And we see on the door, beneath those words, the impression of 5 symbols. And these symbols, I believe we already have all of them. We have the Amulet of Solomon, the amulet with a star-shaped object with 6 corners named after the ancient magician. The Crest of Mercury, snake in the symbol of Mercury signifies alchemy. The Ankh, a biblical talisman with a cross inside. The Dagger of Melchior, the ancient dagger named after the Magi. And finally, the Disc of Ouroboros, a ring of a snake biting its own tail. We talked again about how the faith of Silent Hill, while it is specifically, they were very clear that it is not a faith system in the real world. It is not them trying to dunk on nobody. It did syncretically use imagery and nomenclature from existing faiths in order to kind of gain a foothold here in the town. And here, these 5 symbols of these other faiths end up being the solution to the final puzzle in the game. With these 5 things used to guard our soul, we hear the door unlock. Let's see what awaits us on the other side.
Come along. No. No. I don't want to. Do what Mommy tells you now. I just want you to lend me a teeny bit of your power. That's all. No. It will make everyone happy, and it's for your own good, too.
Oh, but Mommy, I just want to be with you. Just two of us. Please understand.
Oh, yes, I see. Maybe Mommy has been wrong.
Mommy.
Why didn't I see this before? There's no reason to wait. Herein lies the mother's womb, containing the power to create life. I could have done it all myself.
Mommy?
So we heard in the interview that there was a point where Dahlia decided, instead of raising Alessa to take over for her as the spiritualistic medium for the cult, she just decided, fuck it, I'll just set her on fire and make her birth God herself. It'll be easier this way. And there at the here at basically the very end of the game, we see the moment when that happened. We see the gears turn in Dahlia's head as Alessa refuses to kind of play along with just becoming part of the cult, and carrying on their faith, and Dahlia deciding to just kind of press the panic button. And this hallway here, this place that we're in right now, we could see on the walls on the other side. On the left there, the altar that we've seen in a few places in this game, and on the right, the symbol of that hanged man, or the hanged meat thing, that's been present ever since the first turn into the other world, when Alessa's dream apparently kind of interacted with Harry's dream. Baseball? Good. And those are hints, along with the fact that Dahlia and Alessa are talking in that conversation, that this is the Gillespie house. This is the place that would end up being where Dahlia would carry out that ritual 7 years ago in order to impregnate Alessa with God. So normally, what I would do at this point is I would look at my inventory, and I would figure out how many bullets I have, and then I would deplete all of these bullets. I would make sure that I had no bullets before we went downstairs. But unfortunately, I never picked up the hunting rifle. To be totally honest, I don't know how that happened, but whatever. Which means that I cannot get rid of my rifle shells. So I can get rid of all these shotgun shells and all these handgun bullets, but I have no way to shoot these bullets. So I like to do that in this room right here, just because, you know, it's Dahlia's house and it deserves bullet holes, I guess. But the final boss of this game and the ending that we're going to get is a flying asshole. And if you can't hit the flying asshole, if you don't have any ranged weapons, the game will run a script to just force the boss to take a bunch of damage really quickly, and then you just kind of win instantly. And it's kind of funny, and normally I try to do that, but because I can't get rid of those rifle bullets, the game's method of checking whether or not that you have the ability to hurt the final boss doesn't really work, and you can actually render the fight pretty much unwinnable, because the game thinks, hey, you have rifle bullets, shoot the enemy, shoot the boss, but I don't have the gun, so I can't do that. So we're just gonna have to do the fight normally, which is okay. What's up, Farron? You've been in a power outage for 4 hours now? That sucks. Let there be light, as they say. What's going on, Farron? How's your week going? We're gonna descend and kill God. Everything's gonna happen really fast from here on out. Oh, it's still out? Shit. We should not let a battery die.
I was shocked to realize the talisman of Metatron was being used. In spite of the lost soul returning at last. Just a little longer and all been for naught. It's all because of that man. We must be thankful to him. Even though Alessa has been stopped, his little girl has to go. What a pity.
Freeze! What in the devil's name? Ugh.
Anyway, Sybil was there. Wasn't that cool how Sybil was there? She's gone now.
Well, well, well. To think you'd make it this far.
Where's Cheryl? What have you done to her?
What are you talking about? You've seen her many times restored to her former self.
I'm in no mood for jokes.
Don't you see? She's right there.
That's absurd.
You are the only one who thinks so.
Why? Why are you doing this?
It's been a long 7 years. For the 7 years since that terrible day, Alessa has been kept alive, suffering a fate worse than death. Alessa has been trapped in an endless nightmare from which she never awakens. He has been nurtured by that nightmare, waiting for the day to be born. That day has finally come. The time is nigh. Everyone will be released from pain and suffering. Our salvation is at hand. This is the day of reckoning, when all our sorrows will be washed away. When we return to the true paradise, my daughter will be the mother of God.
Okay. Behold God!
Quit screwing around. Return things to how they were before.
Kaufman!
Did I ask for this? Nobody uses me. You won't get away with this.
Your run is over. We don't need you anymore. What do you think you can accomplish by coming here?
My, aren't we getting cocky? Bet you can't see this and keep your cool.
Brad, go!
Glove it is! I thought I got rid of that!
All I had to do was plant it somewhere for you to find. You all, well, kept you busy. Ha! You're easy. And there's more where this came from.
Stop it!
This is a really sick animation for the PS1. Look how effortlessly and smoothly this bottle of ketchup glides over to the form of God, conjured up by Alessa's mind, this angelic figure born from her hatred and pain. And then a dental drill occurs.
Huh? What the?
Incubus uses thunder! Alright, so there's God. Game. There's God. I'm gonna shoot him with a gun. Ow. Hold on. Let me eat a hamburger. Reload my gun. Oh, I'm out of bullets for that gun. Reload my gun. Ow! Fuck! 1 second. Yeah!
Daddy.
Yay, Kaufman made it. Yay. Although I said in one of the endings Lisa would do something. Here she comes. And that is the, in terms of result, best ending of Silent Hill 1. That is the good plus ending. We will look at all the endings here in time, but there are basically two variables that determine what ending you get. If you save Dr. Kaufman, if you go on that little field trip, in the second half of the game to go make sure Dr. Kaufman doesn't get killed by the stabby hands friend whose name I don't remember in the Indian Runner bar, and then go through the rest of the side quests to make sure that he finds his bottle of Aglaophatis. Then he'll be present at the end of the game to try to interrupt the version of God that was manifested from Alessa's thoughts, that angelic figure called the Incubator. We saw that did not stop God, and instead just kind of like manifested another version called the Incubus, that more kind of classically demonic thing that we shot with a shotgun a lot until it fell over. Without Kaufman being there, we wouldn't be able to shoot the Incubus in the face, and then we wouldn't get the good ending. So if Kaufman is not there, then we get the bad ending, and we'll see what that looks like later. There are also there are two variations of both the good and bad endings. There is good and good plus, and bad plus. What we got is good plus, which means that we did the other thing you have to do in order to get the enhanced versions of the good and bad endings. And that second variable is Sybil, the police officer there. So we managed to save Sybil because we used the Aglaophatis on a little weird Satan shadow baby. But basically, if you can free Sybil from the parasite using the Aglaophatis, use the Aglaophatis to nullify the powers of the town, infecting Sybil, then she's there in the ending, and if you don't do that, she dies, and she's not there. So, because Sybil is here, we get this. Like a second. Just go. I don't remember if I have to press a button or not. I might have to press a button. It'll happen. There we go. There. Yeah. And the baby left behind. Oh, God, I forgot about the bloopers. The baby left behind by the Incubator is gathered by Harry and Sybil for an uncertain fate. At least at the time of this game's release. So a lot of things happened really quickly in that ending. Dahlia did all that shit about saying, my daughter's gonna be the mother of God. And Sybil, your daughter, Harry's daughter, or not Sybil, Cheryl here, doesn't exist anymore. She had to go, like Dahlia said. Cheryl was merged into the soul of Alessa. Once Alessa's soul was fused all the way back together and brought under the control of Dahlia, she was forced to give birth to God, and then we shot God in the face. And God reverted back to Alessa's angelic form thingy, but was dying. And we see again that there's the seal of Metatron in this game, and as we will see in Silent Hill 3, the Halo of the Sun, and many, and the Ring of Ouroboros, like we see in this game, many signs and symbols indicating the cyclical nature of Alessa's life. We see that Alessa dies, and the god within Alessa dies, but it's born again as a brand new little baby. And that baby will go on to be the star and protagonist of Silent Hill 3. But that's all for a little bit. For now, let's just enjoy all the things I unlocked in this playthrough. I love the weird diegetic, all of our characters were just actors, everyone's having fun. Just weird ass nonsense that I love it. I love it very much. But there you see, we played on easy because I'm a baby. We got the good plus ending. It took me 8 hours or so, which is pretty normal for me. Missed a bunch of shit because I didn't care about every piece of ammo. Although I should have found the rifle. But I fucked that up. I got a, what is that, a 3-7 rank? Whatever, my ranking is horrible because I play this game bad because I'm bad at this game and I don't really care about optimization. But we did unlock a few things back there. We unlocked a gasoline tank, a chainsaw, a rock drill, and a blue gem. We can see them rotating back there. We can pick those up and use them on other in future playthroughs, which I'll try to do next time. I don't know. I keep not doing it. The gasoline, the chainsaw, and the rock drill are not super special. They are cool. You can use the gasoline to power one of them, either the chainsaw or the rock drill, and they are a cool New Game Plus weapon. They're fine. There are other New Game Plus weapons that we can unlock, and I will show those off at some point, probably. This is a samurai sword you can use, and it's dope. Is the final boss technically the perfect version of their god versus 3's imperfect one? So yeah, we'll talk about that more thoroughly, because there's a section of the Book of Lost Memories. It's actually the very last one, the very last section of the Book of Lost Memories, dedicated to the god and talking about the nature of that. So both versions of God that we see here, well, okay, so the version in 3 that we see is imperfect because it was born from Claudia and was damaged by the Aglaophatus. The 2 versions that we see here are probably about perfect because they are born of Alessa at full power. And even the Aglaophatus, like the Book of Lost Memories points out, can't really affect God at that point. All it really does is stem Alessa's idea of God. But basically, the 2 versions of God that we see in this game are the version of God that both Dahlia and Alessa have in their hearts. So the incubus, or sorry, the incubator, that angelic form that we see, is the version of God that Alessa, a young girl who's like life is built around a want for mercy and peace, is like a classical angelic figure, and the incubus is a classic satanic big old demon figure with a horse head and boobies. So like they are both like the god of the cult. I don't think really has a single perfect like the god is like a real thing that's being called down form. We see another form, or 2 more forms of God in Silent Hill 3. We see the god that is born from Claudia, who looks like Alessa, because Claudia thinks that Alessa is the mother of God. And we see a version of God from the creation myth of the Cult of Silent Hill 2, who looks like a woman dressed in red. So, like, given the syncretism that is in the that is kind of baked into the faith of Silent Hill, where it's just even the god itself, the form of God that is born, depends so much on whose vision is kind of like leading the process through which God is born. I'm kind of inclined to believe that like the god is really just a very, very, very potent manifestation of the town's power that just brings it into a physical like form, and not like a literal god waiting in the rings to be reborn. Like literally a singular entity with agency that's trying to like break through some wall. So like they were both, the ritual succeeded in both cases. It's just a shotgun works both times. So whether they're perfect or not, they still kind of suck. It's kind of the best answer I can give, I think. But yeah, we will look at what the Book of Lost Memories has to say about that tomorrow, because it does go into a little more detail and has a interesting detail about the end of Silent Hill 3 that weirdly leads into Dead by Daylight now, but whatever, we can get to that in the proper time. For now, I'm gonna saving my gaming. Yeah, and yes, Cheryl's dumb little side story. Someone say Trapper Buffs? No. In Cheryl's dumb little side story, Claudia calls Cheryl and is all like, "Hey, I have something for you." And that would seem to not be canon because Claudia's dead, but Masahiro Ito has other ideas. So no, we're not gonna buff Trapper. I don't even know what these words mean. I'm aware Trapper is vaguely deadly by daylighting. So, one thing that I couldn't point out, because I do have a complete save on this file, is that one of the first scenes right here in the opening. Here we see Harry and Sybil picking up a baby. And this scene here, like the Book of Lost Memories also points out, changes once you've beaten the game. When you start this game on a fresh save, that scene is Harry and another woman, who I think's name is Jody, Harry's wife, finding Cheryl 7 years before. That's just the little thing that changes when you have a good plus ending on your memory card. It's kind of neat. But anyway, that is Silent Hill 1. That's everything we're going to do in the actual video game, so I'm going to close that. But, of course, there are 3 more endings. So, or 4 more endings, because we have a dumb one. So, let's go ahead and look at the other version of the good ending. It is going to be mostly the same. The main difference is going to be that Sybil is not here to basically just be there. I mean, Sybil gets force pushed and doesn't really do anything by the end of the cutscene anyway. But let's look at this game's good ending.
Dahlia.
Well, well, well. To think you'd make it this far.
Where's Cheryl? What have you done to her?
What are you talking about? You've seen her many times restored to her former.
Blah, 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 blah. Also, right here, might as well talk about what's going on there in the background. Emil! So, here's Dahlia, and you can see underneath Dahlia and these 2 figures over here, you can see another Seal of Metatron, which is interesting, because the Seal of Metatron, as we learned, is although she calls it the Seal of Metraton, which is confusing. The Seal of Metatron down here, it's interesting that this is here, given that this was Alessa's goal to draw that thing, because she wanted to annihilate the other world, but whatever. You think of Metaton from Metatron. I mean, Metaton Neo does look like Metatron in the Bible, kind of. Fuck, man, I really wish playing Undertale on Twitch didn't bring out a bunch of goblins, because I want to play Undertale so bad. So bad. Anyway, outside of that, we see 2 figures here. We see Alessa, the ghost Alessa, that we've been seeing over the course of this game. The ghost Alessa that looks 14, that looks a little bit older than the little kid Alessa that we've been seeing in Premonitions. And then here we have a figure sitting in a wheelchair. This wheelchair will end up becoming a very big symbol through the rest of the series, kind of errantly, given that it was originally supposed to be a sign of Alessa's hospitalization, but whatever. And we see this figure is wrapped up in all these bandages. This is the physical, actual body of Alessa, brought here to reunite with her soul and then bring forth and give birth to the god that is inside of Alessa's physical body. So that's what's all going on back there. Anyway, we're gonna continue skipping ahead to the point where we deviate from the good plus ending. Which will pretty much be at the end, because we throw the catch-up on Alessa, and the incubator gives birth to the incubus, and then we shoot the incubus a lot, and it falls over, and now we can kick back on. So as Alessa dies, the other world that she created just sets aflame and finally begins to collapse once and for all. But in her final throes, Alessa does 2 things. One, she reincarnates herself in the form of a baby and gives that baby to Harry. Pretty much unchanged from the good plus ending. The only real difference is that Sybil isn't here to leave with Harry. And then, with the absolute last bit of her life, Alessa will point out the exit to the other world to Harry, and then cast Time Stop to make sure the fireballs don't murder him a lot. Oh, baseball, you son of a bitch. Baseball did a bad thing just now, and it made me sad. Kaufman is still here, but Lisa's manifestation is gonna get her revenge and drag him down to hell for fun. Unfortunately for Lisa's soul, either this Lisa or the real Lisa, it's unclear, probably this Lisa, will come back in Silent Hill 3 and we'll have a really bad time. Kaufman seems to just be dead. And then the credits roll. And then we get one final FMV right at the end. Where we see Harry on the streets of Silent Hill with a baby, but through both the sound of bugs that we can hear in the background and the fact that that street light is working and the power is back on, we can tell that Harry is really and truly back in the real world, and he has successfully escaped from Silent Hill. His daughter is still very dead, but he kind of has a new one or something. So, I don't know, whatever. One of those endings will lead to Silent Hill 3. One of them has to. We don't know which one for surezies, although the Book of Lost Memories actually does have an opinion about this, which is interesting. Because Harry leaving the town with a baby is canonical to Silent Hill 3, and spoilers for the bad endings, Harry's not going to leave the town with a baby in those endings. So, let's see what happens in the bad ending. Not bad plus, just bad. So in order to get this ending, you need to get to this part of the game. You need to get to the very end of the game without having saved Sybil or without having saved Kaufman. The main thing to get the bad endings is that Kaufman is not here to throw the Aglaophatus on the incubator. Meaning you get to fight the incubator instead of the incubus.
To think you'd make it this.
Mother of God! Shoot it! Shoot it with the gun!
It's awakening. It's awake.
Shoot it!
How no one can interfere.
Yes, I can.
Cheryl!
I own bullets.
If that person no longer exists, this is a god descending among us to reach out and save us.
Dahlia still gets set on fire, so that's cool. Shoot it!
Daddy.
Cheryl!
Thank you, Daddy. Goodbye.
No, baby.
Cheryl?
No, nothing. Cheryl dead now. We shot Cheryl in the face and she died.
Like this?
And then the other world
What's
collapsed
happening?
because
Cheryl?
there's no
Cheryl!
Alessa's not here to run it anymore. And then that's it, it's over. You win. Silent Hill. And then there was a line earlier in the game where Harry says something like, "For all I know, I'm just all concussioned out sitting in my car right now with a concussion bleeding to death." And then in this ending, when we get all the way through the end of the credits, for once, Harry was right. Yay. So that ending's really confusing. I have no idea what to do with that ending at all. Now, again, when you start a brand new game, you start the game, Harry wakes up from the car crash, runs into the alley, the sun goes out, he gets stabbed by nightmare children, and he dies. And then he wakes up again in the cafe and starts the game proper. We know that, or when you start a new game plus, you skip that initial trip through the alley, and you start off right in the cafe. And the Book of Lost Memories mentions that initial trip in the alley is like Alessa's nightmare and Harry's dream when he's unconscious merging together or something. So maybe Alessa's dream, Alessa's nightmare ending because the other world falls apart without Harry getting out means that he just kind of strokes out in the car or something. Or maybe Harry's looping and like can loop at that point when he's dead and comes, like, gets a second shot at it as manifested through him, like him being dead in the car and then waking up again in the in the cafe, like him waking up in the cafe is the beginning of a loop or something. There's a lot of loop imagery in the third game. And there is diegetically, like, you dying and reloading your save is a loop in that game's timeline. Like that is a thing that is happening. So maybe it's that. I don't know. It's a weird ending, and it's the ending that you were like almost certainly gonna get on a first playthrough. You might be able to get good if you get the good ending if you like fuck around and like go and like try to find every little thing and be able to save Kaufman, but probably I would bet 70% of the time you're going to get that ending first and just be very confused. But for the bad plus ending and the good plus ending, so you can probably find Kaufman pretty naturally just by exploring everything, but getting those plus endings is a little tricky. Because the game never points out until you get to the very end when you see Kaufman throwing the Aglaophatus on the incubator, that the red goo has some kind of effect to interfere with the powers of the other world. And you're never really given an explicit direction on how to use the little bit of the Aglaophatus, the red goo that you find in Dr. Kaufman's office, in the game. You might be able to puzzle together or just look at GameFAQs or GameStop or whatever at the time, GameSpot at the time, that if you use the Aglaophatus that you find on Sybil, you can save her. I have no idea how you do that without finding Kaufman first, but if you somehow do all of that, or just dither it out and see what happens if you save Sybil without saving Kaufman, then you get the bad plus ending, which carries out like so.
Been for naught. It's all because of that man. We must be thankful to him. Even though Alessa has been stopped, his little girl has to go. What a pity.
Baseball was weird.
Devil's name.
Somehow, Dolly has a force field. It's probably Alessa. Anyway, Sybil gets force pushed and no longer exists until we get to the credits. And then this is all going to be the same as we've seen before. We shoot the incubator in the face, and she says, "Thank you, Daddy." And then Harry is sad, like he was in the bad ending.
Cheryl? Can't be. Can't leave like this. This can't be happening. Cheryl? Cheryl!
But this time, once we get through all the credits, there's a very important final scene where instead of Harry being dead, there's a cop here. And they don't know where the exit is because Alessa didn't tell them.
Harry. Go.
So they just kind of hang out. Sybil tells him to go somewhere, but there's nowhere to go. So... yeah. Yeah. And that's bad plus. So the game at least tells you, yo, you got the bad ending. There's something you can do to make this not suck. Figure it out. Like it's not totally leaving you out in the lurch, but those endings are weird. But speaking of weird, there is one more ending to this video game. We saw the blue gem on the bottom right of the end game screen there as one of the items that we unlocked. And that blue gem, it's just a blue gem that you have. There's a blue gem, and you use the blue gem. You just hold the blue gem up in places, and then when you use the blue gem, some stuff happens. Shut up. Don't worry about it.
What? 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 What?
Aliens! There are aliens. They're just our aliens now.
Let me ask you, have you seen a little girl around here? Short, black hair.
Aliens have a laser gun. Yeah. Say goodbye to Harry. And then somehow he saves his daughter anyway. And also then he picks up James Sunderland in Silent Hill 2 and then we'll see him again at the end of Silent Hill 3, and it'll it'll be weird. He's gonna do some karate. I don't know what else to say. It's the UFO ending of Silent Hill 1. I didn't play this game when it came out. I definitely wasn't like online or anything at the time. I have no fucking idea how people figured this out. Like, you kind of just have to try using the blue gem at every possible opportunity just to see if it does something. And then eventually it does, and then this happens. And I don't know. I wonder how long it took him to program this this menu here. Shoutouts to Michael G. I don't know of any other roles anyone that voiced anyone in this game had later. I only know a handful in Silent Hill 2. Also, I kind of miss like late 90s and early 2000s voice casts where there's just all kinds of like crazy performances that would never be replicated ever again. 204873. What's this? What's that? What are we talking about? I'm Googling it. It's an anagram. And I know it comes up in PT. I don't remember what it does. I don't remember what that is. It's cool though. Anyway, that is for really reals everything that there is to look at for the time being in Silent Hill 1. But we are not done here in general because we got Silent Hill 3 and 4 and Origins and Homecoming and Shattered Memories and Downpour. But we're also not done here tonight because it's still real early. The night is still young. So I'm gonna probably go and take a little bit of a break here. It's gonna take a little bit to set up, but when we come back from break, baseball? Shit. We will pick up right where we left off. We will pick up with Harry leaving Silent Hill with the baby. And we will pick up with the PC version of Silent Hill 3. So,